So I don't know about you, but I've been getting a lot of videos on my timeline recently about people kind of approaching the subject of whether or not it's the right decision to come and work in Japan, whether you should make the move to try and live and work in Japan, or even just in general, if you should stay in a job here in Japan as opposed to going back to your home country or trying something else. Hi everyone, it is Kim here, and as you can tell, I'm in the classroom. So when I'm in the classroom and I'm doing a video, you know it's serious stuff. I haven't posted on my Teaching in Japan channel for a while. I've been doing little shorts giving you some teaching ideas, but I thought today we'd address something a little bit more serious. So I narrowed it down to 3 things that I came up with about what you should think about and consider before making a big move, not just to Japan, but maybe for that matter, any country that isn't your home country or that isn't a country that you've grown up with or are comfortable in, and whether or not it's the right decision to work there. I hope I can share some of my experiences or some of the experiences that my friends or colleagues have shared with me, and perhaps that can help you come up with a decision that will be right for you. All right, let's go into this. So just to give you a little insight, I came to Japan when I was 29 years old. I had been teaching in Los Angeles for 8 wonderful years. I wasn't even thinking of changing my career or moving abroad. I was so happy at my school. But things come up, and sometimes you get presented with a situation that force you to make a decision. And at the time, I chose my heart over my career, and that's another story for another video when we talk about relationships and all that stuff. But I just decided I was going to give it a try and get on the JET program, which was offering a chance to teach in Japan for a year. It was the second year that the JET program was in progress. Is that the right word? And so everything was relatively new. And you have to remember, back then there was no internet. There were no YouTube videos we could look up. We couldn't email. It was really hard to know exactly what to expect. And so basically our applications and everything we did was all on our own. And once we got to Japan, we pretty much had to learn the ropes by ourselves because we didn't have anything that we could look up or people that we could consult with. Now it's so much easier, I think. Maybe not, maybe it's even harder, but because of social media, you can get information quickly and easily, and you can even connect with people that you don't know but were living in the area that you were assigned to or had the same position that you were starting out at. Looking back on it, I feel like being older had its benefits, but it also had its downsides too. Because, of course, when you're younger, I think sometimes people maybe open their arms a little bit more to you. People seem to want to take care of younger participants a little bit more because they feel that the older people have already established themselves and are more comfortable adjusting. Whatever your case may be, I felt really comfortable at the age I was going to Japan. Now that I look back on it, I always wonder what would have happened had I been younger. Maybe my life would have taken a different path because, of course, maybe the people that you hang around with would feel more comfortable if you were their same age, and perhaps especially in the field of dating and relationships, it could have been a little bit different for me had I come when I was younger. That being said, since I was a little bit older, I felt like it was easier to adjust to things. It was easier to maybe gain a little bit more respect when I voiced my opinion or shared something. So I think you have to decide mentally or maybe even physically if you feel comfortable where you are at in your life to make a change and move to another country. Sometimes I think one of the hardest decisions for young people especially if you have like a group of friends that you hang out with all the time, is that it may be the time when everyone's getting married or everyone's starting to settle down. Maybe some of your friends are having children, and you're going to quite possibly miss a lot of that. And I think for some people, when they move abroad and they miss those monumentous occasions or things that they really wanted to be present for, I think it's hard for them. You get maybe a little bit more homesick. You might start to miss your friends more. And then it might even have you wondering whether or not it's time for you to settle down or get involved in a serious relationship. And maybe you're at a point in your life in your new country where you haven't achieved your goals personally. Maybe you haven't been able to meet people that are like-minded and want a long-term relationship, especially because they don't know how long you're going to be in the country. Then again, it also sometimes frees people. By freeze, I mean, let's say that all your friends are at that age where they're settling down, they're getting married, and maybe you're not at that stage yet. Maybe you still have goals to travel, or you still want to date and not settle down, and it might be a little bit more pressure if you stayed at your home country and hung out with the same group of people when they're all getting married and maybe starting families, and you're still gallivanting around the country. So it might take a little bit of pressure off of you because you don't have to attend every wedding. You don't have to always do everything the group does. It gives you a little bit more freedom. I think maybe that's where I was at, I guess, when I came. Some of my friends were married younger than 29, and they had already started families. I think most of my friends, well, yeah, they were probably married or about to get married, and I was probably one of the few that wasn't. And that was okay. Like, I was kind of laughing with a friend of mine saying that every friend's wedding that I went to, and when it had the +1, my +1 was always different. I never had the same +1 all the time. So does that make me a player? I don't know. But I don't know. I think if I had stayed maybe in the US, I might have followed that path, but that path wasn't happening for me. So by coming to Japan, I kind of had a different path, and I was so much more at ease and relaxed. And I'm glad that I made that decision to stay. But then again, I did miss out on seeing a lot of my friends with their children when they were growing up. We did keep in touch, and we still keep in touch. Another thing besides where you're at age-wise personally is where you're at career-wise. I see a lot of people that come with certain degrees and they have certain aspirations, but they do want to just come for a year or two in Japan and try something different before they settle down in their career. My predecessor, when I was on the JET program, was someone like that, because she was an aspiring doctor. She wanted to go to medical school, but before starting medical school, she thought she would try a year in Japan. And I think it was really difficult for her because, of course, she was interested in doing the JET job and the ALT job, but her goals were obviously medical school. So she only stayed a year, and she kept focused to her goals. I don't know what she's doing now. I'm assuming she is an established and successful doctor somewhere. But I've also seen the other side too. I've seen people come with degrees that I don't think they intended to be teachers, but because they came here and they enjoyed teaching or they enjoyed Japan, they stayed, and their career path took a different path. I think it might be a decision-making time for you if you come here at a time when maybe you're not certain yet about your career. It could also be too a stepping stone for your career. So let's say you're somebody that's studied Japanese and you really want to work in a Japanese company, or you want to do something that uses your language skills, such as translation or editing, and coming here to Japan, maybe starting out with a teaching job. And coming here to Japan and starting out with a teaching job might be getting your foot in the door, helping you to make connections to get you to that next step. Or it might be just an experience that you can use to see whether or not you really enjoy living in Japan. One hard part, though, is I think if you have dreams or aspirations of doing something, is a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 going to set you back in those ultimate goals? Some people that don't yet have their master's or their doctorate, and perhaps they might need them in their future career, are actually putting themselves on hold. And I don't want to sound morbid, but during those next couple of years, you have no idea what might happen. I'm sure half of the people that were here teaching in Japan right when the pandemic started, or during the pandemic, had to maybe reassess and reevaluate where they were at in their lives and whether or not it was the right decision to stay in Japan, or whether or not it was more important to go back to their home country. I think sometimes too, if you come here and unfortunately experience a health issue, something even like mental stress, or maybe just overwork, or having an anxiety breakdown because the stress of living in a foreign country is so great that you really don't feel comfortable yet going further in your career until you take a little break. Those kind of things can set you back. And while at the time you may not think it will have an impact, it could if the particular job that you are dreaming of has something to do with your age or your appearance or your degrees. So you kind of have to sit and just, whoops, there's the bell. Hold on. Let me wait, because this is transition period, so kids might be running by. I'll be right back. All right, sorry, the lighting may not be as good here, but it's less conspicuous because I can actually see the back doors. So if people are walking, right, other way, my back was turned to the door. So yeah, and then plus 2, if students should walk by, I have to blur their faces out. So, okay, so let me get, oh, my little notepad. Okay, so yeah, so where you're at career-wise could play a factor, and I think really it's hard to think about, well, at least for me it was, it's hard to think about things like the future because I'm such a live-in-the-moment girl. One of the things that you need to consider when you move here is the type of contract that you accept. Now, lately, a lot of the videos that I have been seeing are people that are not happy with their contracts, specifically with their salary and their conditions. That could be us anywhere, right? It's not necessarily in Japan, but it could be in any country. And maybe the hardest part is you see yourself not being able to go any higher or move up or gain the benefits or power that you could have perhaps gotten in your home country. So let me give you an example. I see a lot of teachers complaining that they're stuck in a language teaching job or teaching at a certain level, and they don't move up. They don't get big raises. They don't get the same benefits that maybe Japanese teachers might get, or that maybe people with a different contract get. And that I totally relate to because I've been there, and I think It's really easy to be happy with a contract or with a certain pay scale if you're happy with everything else. But as you start getting older and you think, gosh, my salary hasn't changed for the past 10 years, and I'm actually doing more work now, or I'm actually having more duties and responsibilities. Those are things I think it's up to you to decide. And I'm going to say that sometimes it's really easy to get comfortable in a position because you're a little bit weary or maybe a little bit nervous about taking a leap of faith or trying something different. Career-wise, like my path, because I am a teacher and my background is in teaching and education, for me every step was kind of like within my career. And the way my job path went, I actually kept going up staircases. So I feel like salary-wise, condition-wise, everything went in a very upward pattern. I was lucky. I didn't actually think it was going to go that way because there were times when I sort of went, oh no, and I thought I was going to take a downward cut in pay or a change in job stuff, all related to education, but maybe the conditions of each place was going to make the job change a little bit. But the way my path worked, it actually kept getting better and better. And I feel like I'm really fortunate to have the position I'm in now, because when I retire, I feel like I can actually retire comfortably, and everything happened in an unexpected and unpredictable way, which is very much my life, but all on the good side. So I feel like, yeah, I hope everybody's path can be the same, where things keep going up and up, but I did have my share of hurdles, and sometimes those hurdles or obstacles or things that you don't expect make you stronger. And I think it's always important to take that time to reassess and think about if you're where you hope to be or want to be, and use that as a catalyst to help you make a decision or move on. Yeah, it's not easy. Career stuff is not easy because a lot of that is out of your hands. I feel like relationships and personal things, you're the one making the decisions, but sometimes career-wise, it's other people making those decisions for you, if you know what I mean. Because you can't just say, oh, I want to do this and be able to do it. Sometimes someone's got to hire you, or someone's got to, or someone has to support you or give you that opportunity. There are a lot of people that stay in a position even though they may not be rising up or maybe not growing the way that other people hope that you might grow in your career. If they're comfortable and happy, I think a lot of people here think, why change? And certain positions, I think, or certain places, they don't have a lot of openings because the people at that particular school or organization are happy. And so they don't want to keep changing. When you're forced to change, I think that's when sometimes your eyes get open to all the different conditions and other things that are out there. And that's kind of what happened to me, is because of circumstances that forced me to have to look for new positions, or it forced me to kind of see what else is out there. Sometimes I think in your life you have to think about when is the right time to actually not settle down, but make a commitment and say, you know, this is where I want to be long term. I know that my heart's always been in elementary school. That was what I trained in. That was my origin, and I've kind of went a full circle. I've done everything, all different grade levels in between, but I started with elementary school and I'm ending with elementary school. And everything that was inside helped me grow in different ways so that now I feel capable and able to branch out in any direction. Depending where you are or where you want to be in your relationship life, I think going to a foreign country is kind of taking a little bit of a gamble, because you may or may not meet someone, and if it does turn out to be something that you want to continue long term, it may or may not be easy depending on the circumstances, and we're talking things like visas, marriage, changing or moving to another country, all that kind of stuff. So that could be a whole nother video, right? But I think you have to kind of know in your own mind where you want to be. And if you do want to be dating and hopefully finding a potential spouse, then if it isn't working out, are you going to still stick in that country and hope that it does? Or are you going to move elsewhere and try somewhere else? Or are you going to be happy being single? You know, there's all those kind of things. And of course, you can't predict what's going to happen, but I think sometimes the loneliness or feeling maybe a little bit of pressure is harder when you're in a foreign country for some people. For some people, it might be easier because maybe your opportunities are more, and maybe you're meeting a lot more people than you ever would have in your home country. I never was somebody that kept thinking, okay, I want to be here at this age, I want to be here. That just never was me, but I'm realizing there are a lot of people that set time limits or time goals for themselves. Oh, what did I write in my notes? Okay, this is how I worded it. I hope it makes sense. Are you working for the now, or are you working for the future? Is that profound? Or is that simple? I think I've always been someone that works for the now. You know, I enjoy where I'm at, who I'm with, what I'm doing, what pay I'm getting, where I'm living, for the now. And I'll reflect back and I'll still appreciate everything, but I can't think about the next step because I just, it's too much. It's too overwhelming, and it's not written. You know, it's like when you get a book, right? When you get a book, if you want to see what happens at the end, you can always flip the pages and read the end and then decide, oh, do I want to read the rest of the book? Or after you know the ending, okay, now that's going to make the book more exciting to read. Or are you someone that, I don't want to know the end. I'll know the end when I get to the end of it. I'll go along with the book, and then when I reach the end, you know, that's when I find out what happens. Maybe people that work for the now are, I don't know if they're more satisfied, but maybe they just are a little bit more able to deal with the hurdles that get thrown at you. Or when you're in a foreign country, you take everything in and you just kind of learn from it and experience the moments and use that to give you the, I don't know, power for the next step. And maybe if you're someone that is looking ahead to the future or always thinking about where you want to be and what you need in your life and what goals you have, and if the country or the job is not meeting that, then it's causing you stress. So you either leave or you rethink and then make whatever plans you have to get to those goals. Maybe those are things that you need to decide, and then it could help you navigate your life. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, but those are just 3 things that I just keep thinking about when I watch these videos of people that are kind of telling other people, don't come to Japan, or are you sure you really want to work in Japan? I say, if you think about those 3 questions, where you're at in your life and what type of working situation are you expecting or hoping for, and are you working for the now or for the future? If you have the answers, or if you know what you want, that is your answer on whether or not moving and working in another country, such as Japan, is the right decision for you. All right, I'm going to end this video here. So I just want to thank you once again for all your support and for your help, and for helping me to grow and learn on my journey here at YouTube. And if you would like to be a part of this journey, and we can help each other to continue to grow in life and all that other fun stuff, please consider subscribing. I try to post about different things in Japan, hopefully give you a few teaching ideas or insight into what it's like to be a teacher here. I'm also a dog mom and a newly senior citizen, so I can share bits of my life with you that hopefully will help you with your life here, or maybe even life in general. So I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.